What exactly is going on between the BJP and the RSS? How do we make sense of the latest salvo fired by Mohan Bhagwat, evidently in the direction of Prime Minister Modi? I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. This past week, another comment, seemingly acerbic, seemingly sarcastic, seemed to be directed at the Prime Minister by RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat. Mr. Bhagwat said that people should not look for God in themselves. It appeared to be a kind of veiled remark, or a veiled reference rather, to the Prime Minister's remarks in an interview where he spoke about drawing his energy as a non-biological entity from God. This was an interview that the Prime Minister did during the election campaign of 2024. This is not the first time that Mohan Bhagwat seems to be making a sarcastic comment that appears to be targeting the Prime Minister. Is the RSS resetting the power dynamic with the Modi-led BJP? And if so, to what end? And more to the point, what impact might it have on the imminent assembly elections? Joining us on the program today is our newsmaker and author Neerja Chowdhury, who has a very compelling Indian Express column out just this past week trying to decode the mysterious signaling from the RSS chief to the Prime Minister. Now, Neerja Chowdhury, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for your time. Let's start by asking you to talk a little bit more about what you've referred to in your Indian Express column being the cryptic signals from the RSS chief. This is not the first time that Mr. Bhagwat appears to be taking a pot shot at the Prime Minister. And I think you call the comments cryptic, but you also talk about a kind of deliberate recalibration by the RSS. How do you read the kind of recent utterances that are almost borderline sarcastic when it comes to the Prime Minister?
Yes, this is the third statement that Mohan Bhagwat made, the RSS chief, which was read in many circles as a criticism of the Prime Minister, reference to his non-biological origins. And he talked about, he felt that after his mother's death, he felt, that he had been given energy by God and sent to fulfill a certain purpose. And now, I was reminded of that Hindi song, even though Mohan Bhagwat has not named the Prime Minister. In none of his three statements after the election outcome, which have been indirectly critical of the Prime Minister, he's named him. But I was remembering that song, I don't know kaun si film ka tha, samajhne wale samajh gaye hain, na samjhe wo anari hai. Right. So in the political circles, everybody understood and decoded it like that. And nothing has been said by the Sangh leadership or anybody of consequence in the Sangh to say, no, this is not the case. Now, this to me was significant, coming as it did after Palghat meeting of the RSS. It was supposed to be a Samanvay Baithak, and the top brass of the BJP was there. JP Nadda, the party president, was there. DL Santosh, the GSEC was there, and others were there. And of course, Mohan Bhagwat was there, and the top leaders, Dattatreya Hosabale, and the top leaders of the RSS were there. And more than 30 organizations, front organizations of the RSS were there. Now, the idea, one of the goals, of course, it is to plan for the centenary year and to take a view of situation. But one of the ideas was to sort out the differences that had crept up between the RSS and its progeny, the BJP. And in fact, it was rather unusual for the RSS spokesperson to acknowledge after the meeting, yes, there are differences, but we will sort them out within the family. So that Mohan Bhagwat statement should come after this meeting, after the top level meeting that was held in Rajnath Singh's house, where Amit Shah was also there. And again, the RSS leaders were there. It was a small group interaction. And the idea was to take a view of how the situation had evolved after the elections. So why did Mohan Bhagwat then fire this salvo? when
Well,
he
that
did.
is what I was. That is exactly what I was going to ask you. That
Therefore,
why?
at the meeting, Barkha, in Palghat, they came to the rescue of the BJP with their stand on the caste census that they approved of it. That is going to help the BJP in the coming election. It's going to give the BJP time. The BJP has so far been ambivalent on the issue. I think that the issue at hand for the RSS, and they keep talking about, they are worried, of course, about what they call Vyaktivad, personality cult, excessive power concentrated in the hands of a few people, meaning the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. But they want primacy to be given to the organization once again. And some of their people talk about, the organization being manned or by what one person called yes men. So who will be the party president is of supreme importance to the RSS as of now. There are various names that they suggested, like Sunil Bansal, like Vinod Taude, who are general secretaries, but many people feel they're not senior enough at the moment to head the organization at a very challenging time. Then the name that was put forward, I believe, is Devendra Fadnavis from Maharashtra, whether he should be moved to Delhi as the party chief. Now, I don't know how much response that has had with the High Command. And of course, Bhupen Yadav, Dharmendra Pradhan, they are old hands at it. But so many names have been doing the rounds in their discussions, I'm told. Very little Barkha comes out of the RSS, in terms of information. It's a pity, I feel, because it is in public life and should let the people of India know what the deliberations that are going on. But that apart, the question therefore is, was Mohan Bhagwat stepping up pressure so that their concerns, their views on this issue at this particular juncture are taken on board? You and I can only speculate.
Yeah.
What comes out is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, but what we are not able to establish is what has happened suddenly. The only difference between, let's say, last year and now is that Mr. Modi is not as powerful as he was. And maybe that has created the space for the RSS to say things that they always thought but felt that they could not say. There was a time when it appeared as if the Prime Minister was bigger than the party, certainly, but also than the RSS, a very different power equation. Is the RSS resetting the power dynamic?
Yes, I think it is probably trying to. It's well put, resetting the power dynamics between the two organizations. And as I've written, neither can the RSS do without the BJP, nor can the BJP do without the RSS. Mr. Nadda, during the course of the election campaign, Lok Sabha elections, had said, and this surprised many people, it was an explosive statement coming from him, saying that the BJP was now capable enough to run its affairs and did not need any hand-holding by the RSS. And I believe that made a lot of people in the RSS very unhappy. And many people say that after this, and even before this, they reined in. They did not come out, their cadre did not come out to campaign for the BJP as it has done in past elections. So, and that is one of the reasons seen as, the party not doing so well in Uttar Pradesh, down to 33 seats, which was shocking. And that really, UP overturned the 2024 elections. Had UP gone the way it did in 2014 or even 2019, they would have been over the hump. But that being the case, they can't do without each other, but really, as you say, resetting the power dynamics. Now, who will blink first? Because there was a time during Mr. Modi's second term, I used to often think, if you ask the RSS Karyakarta, who is your leader? Is it Mohan Bhagwat or Narendra Modi? Many of them will say Narendra Modi. So in a sense, he had hijacked also the RSS as an organization. But I think things have changed after the 2024 elections, and we will see a balance taking place, and both will have to take each other's concerns on board. And therefore, Mr. Modi, heading the coalition government as he does, will have to not only take into account the concerns of the allies, the partners of NDA, but also the RSS.
But for one moment, let's argue this from Mr. Modi's perspective. Mr. Modi could well argue that no prime minister has done more for the RSS's agenda, cultural and political, than the prime minister. Whether it's the abrogation of 370, whether it is placing the Uniform Civil Code into the public domain, whether it is pushing forth a legislation on triple talaq. You can pick up a number of issues, and the Modi camp could well argue that this is not the first time that there's been some friction between the government and the RSS. The RSS at one point, if you remember, in the Vajpayee years, had a veto over, let's say, Jaswant Singh getting a certain portfolio. So this is not the first time. If the Modi camp were to argue that the RSS would be nowhere without Modi, because right now Modi remains the BJP's biggest political brand, what would the RSS counter to that be?
Well, absolutely, there is a truth in that. No other leader probably has done as much as Narendra Modi to fulfill the RSS's core agenda. Yes, temple done. 370.
Yes, I forgot to mention the temple. Yes.
And
yes.
triple talaq, moving towards uniform civil code. Some states have already, like Uttarakhand, has enacted it. So yes, and the Vajpayee, the other BJP prime minister, had put all these things on the back burner because of a coalition government he had to run. But the RSS probably feels marginalized on the peripheries in decision making. And any prime minister, Mr. Vajpayee, used to feel similarly, with the RSS breaking down his neck about this to be done, that to be done, and he would do the flip-flops that he was famous for. But he would get away with it and retain his image as a moderate. But and Mr. Modi probably felt, maybe genuinely felt that we don't need them. And had he managed to get 3 or 4 in 2024, he might have cocked a snook at the RSS also. But that did not happen. And RSS held back, and the BJP did not do as well. It's very interesting, Barkha, that JP Nadda should make that statement. I would find it very difficult to believe that he would make a controversial statement like that without some kind of a go-ahead from the... And he has not said, I was misquoted, or denied it, or even said, I was misunderstood. He's not said that, which is what most politicians do when they, to wriggle out of a difficult situation. So obviously, maybe the BJP feels we can handle it, but I think not so sure anymore. And what is also very interesting, Barkha, suppose they don't do well in the coming assembly elections or assembly elections. Will the BJP be compelled to opt for a president of the party more senior than they are thinking at the moment? Will it be a
For example, Rajnath Singh,
Nitin Gadkari, Shivraj Chauhan, more experienced hands, and who also have links across the political spectrum, will be trusted also by the RSS, and to revive the party and give it a direction. So we need to see what also happens in these 4 assembly elections.
I was just going to ask you that there is some chance, we don't know for sure because elections are always surprising, that Mr. Modi could be further politically weakened if the BJP does not perform well in Haryana, Jharkhand, Jammu and Kashmir and Maharashtra, right? Depending on what happens. Now, imagine if that were the scenario. You suggest that the doors would be open for a Rajnath Singh, Nitin Gadkari, Shivraj Singh Chauhan to potentially become BJP party president. Now, I take you back to the time when there was a Nitin Gadkari as BJP president and Mr. Modi, and he never got along. I remember an old interview I did with Nitin Gadkari, and I would say, when was the last time you spoke to Mr. Modi? And he said, "Wo to baat hi nahi hota." So the relationship between Nitin Gadkari and the Prime Minister not being a great one is well known, right? What would the RSS gain by doing something like that? Because wouldn't it be considered extremely provocative by the Modi Shah camp if they were to push that kind of line?
I think, it will have to be who can samhalo the situation in that kind of a situation. It won't be done without the concurrence of the Prime Minister. I don't think so. It cannot be foisted. But the political situation may throw up, or push you in a certain direction that Vinod Taude or Sunil Bansal may not be able to handle. Devendra Fadnavis would they want? That's another name that has come from the RSS side. Move him out of Maharashtra to Delhi. He's dynamic, he's young. In Maharashtra, there's been problems for him. He had to be downgraded and so on. And he's a very talented man. So they could use his services. But will he be acceptable to, again, the high command here? All these are question marks. Of course, this happens in organizations. They'll be sorted out and so on. But it is going through a manthan. And one other theory that some people, and I must mention it here, that some people believe that Mohan Bhagwat was very worried. You remember in his first statement, critical statement after the elections, he talked about, the maryada being given up of campaigning. This campaign from Mangal Sutra to Mujra. And,
Correct.
making it a very extreme kind of rhetoric. And what people have called Islamophobia that they are playing on. And some people say Mohan Bhagwat has worry that it will give this kind of thing, will get the extreme right, the people who speak extreme language to get a greater hold of the Hindutva narrative. And that may not be a very good thing. Because in recent times, he has been reaching out to, Muslims being part of Hindutva, having opening dialogue with them. And of course, it may give a bad name to Hindutva worldwide. This is one point of view also to give an explanation about Mohan Bhagwat's unhappiness. But all I can say is there is manthan going on, obviously, inside the RSS, inside the BJP, between the RSS and the BJP, within the BJP. And I suppose it's a very natural phenomenon, given the kind of verdict that 2024 threw up.
Yeah, but let me ask you in the end about the consequences of having a larger-than-life leader of the kind that Narendra Modi has been for at least a decade now. Is that the profile of others who could have been leaders has been diminished, in part perhaps by design, in part by circumstance. So, for example, Shivraj Singh Chauhan was marginalized in Madhya Pradesh till he's now been brought into cabinet, right? And, there's a Vasundhara Raje who's lurking in the shadows in Rajasthan. Now, at one point in the age of Jetli and Sushma, there was an entire pantheon of BJP leaders, and you had many faces to the BJP. Tomorrow, if Modi weakens as a political brand further, there is no immediate potential successor in sight. Yogi Adityanath stands somewhat weakened as well because of the Uttar Pradesh result. So this manthan within the BJP, what shape does it take?
I think greater power sharing. Overall, what is the message that's coming across? If Narendra Modi had 303 last time, he was the supreme leader. He could do exactly what he wanted. Nobody spoke up. Even the RSS spoke up very, very hardly ever, really. Their unhappiness has been known for a couple of years and a little more. But now that he is down to 240, that has its own message. And the mandate 2024 calls on him to run a government that's a coalition government. Formally, the coalition with the partners of the NDA, and informally, because of the way it's been structured so far, as the political arm of the RSS, also to take their concerns on board in order to run it skillfully. That is the mandate. And I feel, of course, he's been very shocked. He's looked shocked. He's tried to show that it's business as usual in terms of the cabinet and other appointments. But it has come as a big surprise to them, the tally that they finally landed with. So, but given, politicians are a very flexible breed. They read the writing on the wall and they adjust accordingly. And some people say the RSS message is, that the time has come for Narendra Modi to make way for somebody else. Some people say that. And these are the signals coming from the RSS. I think Modi is a very flexible person. And he has his task cut out, but let's see what he will do.
But in the end, are we back to a kind of 90s redux of Mandal versus Kamandal? It's very important because you mentioned the RSS support for the caste census. Now, Rahul Gandhi has clearly made caste politics his kind of edifice. In this avatar of Rahul Gandhi's politics, he has made this his edifice to a degree where people are even saying he's taking it too far. But whatever it is, that may be a matter of opinion and debate. He has made that the center point of his politics. Today, you have a KC Tyagi stepping aside as a JDU spokesperson and saying caste census to aake hi rahega, right? Now, you remember the Mr. Modi personally taking back the UPSC lateral entry after there's a noise over whether this will in some ways hit a reservation and affirmative action. When we look at the RSS and the BJP and the Manthan, through what the other side has made its ideological point of attack, how do you make sense of which direction ideologically the BJP and the RSS travel on now?
I think it's been in the Modi era, and now the RSS is part of this narrative. It has been both Mandal and Kamandal together. That's been Modi's contribution. It's been Hindutva, it's been social empowerment, it is OBC empowerment, and he's an OBC and amongst them extremely backward. So this is the devolution of democracy to the peripheries that's taking place, and you cannot stop it, Barkha. That's why Mohan Bhagwat, who in 2015 said that reservations as a policy had to be reviewed, the same Mohan Bhagwat says now that you cannot, as long as there is discrimination in society, you will continue with reservation, if necessary, for 200 years. You remember how the communist parties of India, who rely on class as their basis for analysis and understanding society, also changed their mind in the 90s and gave importance to caste, began to give importance to caste as a factor. So India's diversity teaches many people many things.
Yeah, I think that is actually the bottom line. The diversity teaches many people many things, and today we have that diversity manifesting itself in political terms, with nobody being able to get away with too much power.
Yes, power sharing is the name of the game, particularly
fascinating. Yes, fascinating. Thank you, Neerja. It's always a pleasure, and we hope to talk to you again very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.